Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk About the Pots Life, your go-to podcast for all things pots. Whether you're living with pots or supporting someone who is, this is the place for you.
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About the Pots Life. Today we are back on the food. We're talking all about food today. This episode is in addition to a previous episode called Optimal Nutrition for Pots, where we really dove into glucose, how that interacts with your body, your blood sugar. This is not that high tech, but if you missed
No.
it, go on back and listen. This is more about meals and strategies and just simple tips for like the day-to-day life.
Yeah, I feel like lately Britt has been getting more questions both in office and on the app that, what snacks could I put in? Or sometimes people aren't eating enough or going too long without eating. I know I had said previously, but when I was diagnosed, I thought it was like a blood sugar issue. So I would probably not eat often enough. And then I would feel like this drop in blood sugar. And so many patients, buy the at-home monitor to test their own sugars. And, when it comes back fine, you're a little confused because you feel terrible. It really increases the symptoms. So Britt is going to give us some tips on how to adjust that and, try to avoid these things by timing out meals better and picking the right foods.
Yeah, because those two things together really are going to make a difference. Nutrition plays a role with your symptoms. It could exacerbate them or it could help keep them at bay for a little bit longer. And that's really the goal that we're looking for here.
Right. And the right foods choosing, like you just said, it'll make symptoms worse. People think that they're choosing
Yeah.
healthy, making healthy choices, but really in terms they're, making things worse. So kind of helping you weed through that today.
Yeah. And the first tip that I like to share with everyone is the timing and the amount of times you should be eating throughout the day. There's a lot of misconceptions out there in the nutrition world, or there's fad diets or things that are
Yes.
trendy. That's not what I recommend. But so
Yeah.
what we're recommending is small, frequent meals throughout the day. Making sure that you're eating within 2 hours of waking up for your breakfast is really important. While you're sleeping, your body's fasting. So we don't want to continue to add that and say, oh, let's not eat till lunch or dinner. That people that can wait that long, I don't know how they do it. That's
Me
not,
neither.
something that we recommend. You really want to break that fast, hence the name breakfast, as soon as possible.
Looking at it from all angles, from a nutrition perspective, that makes sense. Get it, your body's already fasting, getting something in the morning. And then from how that ties into pots, you're laying down all night. We are
Mm.
not drinking water because we are hoping that you are sound asleep.
All
So
night.
yes, you're lying flat and your blood has somewhat settled in a supine flat position. And you're not dehydrated in terms of like a medical state, but from a pot's perspective, you haven't drank all night, so you're quote unquote dehydrated. So when you stand up, you are already behind in your adequate water intake,
Yep.
right? So you're already starting the morning somewhat dehydrated. So if you're already struggling with not having enough blood volume, you stand up, gravity's at full play now. Your symptoms are worse, you're a little bit dizzy, your heart's racing. And then if you decide, okay, I'm not going to eat for so many hours, it's just going to make everything worse. So
Yep.
really trying to look at nutrition from a different lens. It's the same thing as, traditional exercise model, no pain, no gain. It doesn't fit with POTS. And I feel like some of the newer fads of how you should eat, what you should do, those don't exactly fit from a
Right.
POTS perspective either.
Right. Absolutely. And the water's a great reminder. I think we've always said like the first thing you should do when you wake up
Mhm.
is have that water and
Yep,
then have breakfast. That should
correct.
just become part of your routine, like
Mhm.
brushing your teeth in the morning or having a cup of
Mhm.
coffee. Like just make that a standard part. And then Kelsey, we'll just go with what is your favorite breakfast at the moment that you've been eating?
Oh my gosh. I struggle. I was never somebody that could fast
Yep.
my brother could go all morning and not eat. I am so not that person. Right now, I'll do like a little bar of some sort, like a gluten-free bar and then fruit and for the morning to at least have something in my stomach. And I drink an element in the morning and with a full glass of water. So then I'm kind of starting ahead.
Hmm.
Or if before I make it downstairs, if I'm getting ready, I am drinking water as soon as my feet hit the ground.
Yep.
Even now, 4 years out, things are way better, but It's part of my routine. And then I'm a mid-morning person that will either bring a yogurt or, sometimes more fruit or something like that, but I have learned, like, little meals. I do better with little meals, and even here, if I have to run in between patients and just have a couple gluten-free crackers or, like, a chomp stick, something small, but just to keep something in my belly at all times.
Yeah, like the science behind the small frequent meals is that you're not allowing your blood sugar to
Mhm,
go through those up and downs, right? So,
mhm.
yes, it's my husband calls it like the eating like a toddler. Like
Yeah.
that's what we're recommending, right? So, you
Mhm,
want to try to eat breakfast within the first 2 hours. I've been into cottage cheese a lot lately. I know it's
mhm.
trendy, but I've always liked it. It's not new.
Yes.
I also like eggs
Mhm,
for breakfast. They're a great source of
mhm,
protein that helps, keep you full a little bit longer. So that's another great option. But really, anything that you eat in the morning, as long as it's not a highly sugary cereal or like a donut,
mhm,
without it being paired with something that's a little bit more sustainable, like a yogurt or a piece of fruit, like that's
mhm,
going to just cause a spike. So we really want to be making choices in the morning that are going to keep us full for about those 2 hours. So if you think about
mhm.
it in that regard.
Right, because and you also don't I mean, listen, I love a good gluten-free brunch. I'm all for it, but eating big, heavy meals will also not only mess with glucose,
Yep.
but by having these heavy meals, it requires more blood to digest the meal.
Yep.
And your body, from a POTS perspective, is already diverting that blood elsewhere to keep you from passing out, and it's using it in different ways. So if you have these big, heavy meals 3 times a day or multiple times a day and you're requiring your blood to do other things, that increases your symptoms too. So just the small, steady meals is so key.
Yep. And just our last thing on breakfast is trying to make sure that it's including a protein and maybe a healthy
Mhm,
fat. So that avocado's also very trendy. Something else that's going to add that nice fat, or like a peanut butter or a nut butter on
mhm,
like a
mhm,
bagel. Again, another healthy fat that can really just help start off your day on the right foot. And like Kelsey said, she likes to do a mid morning yogurt.
mhm.
I do not have POTS, but I eat the same way that I'm talking about it today. I'm a breakfast first thing in the morning. And then, yeah, about 2 hours later, it's a snack. It doesn't have to be very thought out, right? It could be a
Mm-mm,
banana, it could be a yogurt, it
mm-mm.
could be a handful of
Just
nuts.
something in
Yep.
your stomach to get in your
Yes.
stomach. I feel like to just keep you level
Mhm.
versus like getting to the point of hunger, like or
Yeah.
starving.
Yep. It could be an egg, a hard-boiled egg.
Mhm,
It could be anything that is gonna add that complex nutrition that you're needing at that time. I wouldn't recommend that that snack is a handful of Skittles. And everyone likes Skittles, not bashing those, but just an
yes.
example, not a handful of sugary treats at that time,
Yes.
because that's not
Yes.
gonna help that blood sugar stay where we're trying to keep it without all the ups and downs.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
something that
And
has
you'll
a little
feel
bit
that.
more.
Sometimes people even feel like if they have something with chocolate, a
Mhm.
spike in their heart rate. Sugar tends to be, even if it's a little bit, something very sugary tends to spike symptoms more. So
Sure.
it makes sense. Yeah, you don't want to go reach for a cookie as your mid-morning snack.
As your only snack, right? Now,
As your
could
only
I
snack,
have that
right.
cookie with maybe a banana?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we're just not encouraging that it's a standalone treat yet at
Yes,
this
or you'll
time. Yeah.
feel worse.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. If you want a piece of chocolate after any other meal,
Mhm.
your body has enough of other complex carbohydrates, so it's not as strong as a spike as you mentioned with the sugar because
Mhm.
it's got a lot of other stuff happening at that same time. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah. And then lunch, I know it's hard for any of our working folks too
Mhm.
to find time. I know a lot of I have too many lunchtime meetings personally. So being mindful that like, okay, it doesn't have to be a full out meal. You could take some small staples that you enjoy. You could cut up an apple, some crackers, cheese, and that is could
Mhm.
be your lunch. It doesn't have to be like these pre-made high protein bowls if you don't have the time to do
Right.
that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, my kids, a lot of times, if I'm packing for something to go to my aunts or wherever they are for the day, I call it like a charcuterie
Yep.
board, but it's inside their lunch. And okay, they don't have the bread with the sandwich, but they have turkey and cheese roll ups and they have a cookie and they have some crackers with hummus. And so I think sometimes or maybe just the American diet, it makes you believe that you need to have this big sit down meal for everything.
Yeah.
And I just find, like you said, people do worse with that. So, yes, do I most times out of the week try to have just cook ground turkey for the week and a side and a vegetable? Yes, I do. But are there sometimes, like today, that I don't have many groceries
Yep.
left and it is a charcuterie board? For sure. But throwing in that protein, I'll give my kids, if they're at home, like a spoonful of peanut butter, like
Yep.
on their charcuterie board. And so they're getting the healthy fats without knowing they're getting all of the things.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't have to be you don't have to be a giant meal prepper, you know? It
Mm-mm.
could be a leftover, right? That's for your lunch. It could be a peanut butter sandwich with a string cheese. Like, you
Right.
just have to make sure that you really wanna hit at least 3 of your food groups, so making sure you have a fruit or a vegetable, and then a protein, and then also a carbohydrate to help keep you, and that can look very different in what that
Mm-hmm.
compilation is, depending on what's available, what day grocery shopping is, and
Mm.
when in our house, like, when's trash day? Like, you have to figure
Eat
all
all
that
the
out.
things.
Yeah.
Yes. Today was slim pickings because
Yeah.
I had groceries delivered to my house while I'm at the office. But yes, today my lunch looked, you could tell it was the day. But it doesn't have to be anything crazy. And it was things that I had and getting
Yeah.
vegetables and looking from a pot's perspective too at some salt content. So I have
Mhm.
somebody who, for them, a good afternoon snack is like a few pieces of cheese, a few crackers, and then olives because they're salty. So
Mhm.
that goes with that. So it doesn't have to be this full sit down meal to be successful.
No, absolutely not. And those are great examples for your afternoon snack that you were just
Mhm.
saying, like,
Mhm.
cheese is a great snack, and it has sodium in it, so that's gonna
Right.
help with your salt content naturally. Again, hummus is a great option if you like hummus to dip your vegetables in
Mhm.
or your
Guac,
crackers.
I love,
Mhm.
like, or the avocado cups from Sam's. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but those are small and it's a good healthy fat.
Yep. And then at dinner, you can eat with your family, right?
Mhm.
If your family doesn't want to follow the same diet as you, that's okay. You can just be mindful about what you put on your own plate, right? So if you're having burgers and mashed potatoes and green beans with your family, you could still do that, but it's about the amount that you put on your plate,
Mhm.
right? So trying to aim for that smaller quantity because you've already been trying to keep your blood sugar stable all day. You don't want to throw it out the window when it comes to dinner time.
No, because you almost feel worse. Like, I would say even a year ago, I had a breakfast. I would bring in like a shake or something mid-morning. I would have my lunch and then I wouldn't eat until dinner, but I would go and do sports and everything with my kids. So then I almost got to the point I noticed if I let myself get too hungry,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what I put in my stomach. The minute something goes in, like it hurts worse. And then when my pot symptoms were out of control, it made all of that worse. So really just trying to be, like, mindful of, okay, even if I leave the office and I'm gonna go home and make dinner, eating something just small
Mhm.
while I'm making dinner, just to have something in my stomach and keep everything level instead of dumping that big heavy meal. Because once you're so hungry, you wanna eat it all and then you just regret it from so many different ways.
And on the other hand, if you're skipping meals, right, your
Mhm,
body goes into starvation mode
mhm,
and you either overeat or you're so hungry that you don't eat enough food. And that just perpetuates that cycle, right? Your body doesn't want to be in starvation mode.
mhm,
So, following, about every 2 hours, you're having some kind of food intake, also planning your workouts around that. If you're
mhm,
going to do part of your POTS Life program, if you're biking and you've made it to month 8 and you're really in that
mhm,
timeline, being mindful that you're having something to eat before and after, because again, that exercise is going to burn some calories, right? And so that could cause a spike or a decrease in your blood sugar if you haven't eaten before or right
mhm.
after that.
Right. I was talking with somebody the other day and she was like, I was just about to get on the bike, but I was like, you know what? I haven't eaten. And she went and had a little baby steak.
Yeah.
She's like, I got protein. I felt way better. So just
Yep.
being aware, POTS is frustrating. You got
Hmm.
to look at it from a big picture. So being aware of all the little pieces, nutrition is good and food is good and strength. And our goal of this podcast and the entire POTS Life program is to just inform you
Yep.
and give you helpful tools, but also let you know, like, if you join the POTS Life program, we are working to make you full body strong and healthy. So it's not something that you're going to come on here and this is going to be a weight loss program or anything.
Nope.
I was saying to Britt is my motto is to get you full body strong. not bikini rip.
Nope.
No, because I want to layer this strength, starting from the bottom and layering each part so you are confident and your body is strong to withstand illness, stress, adrenaline, good stress, bad stress,
Yep.
whatever that is. And we want you to just have a very solid foundation from nutrition standpoint, from a hydration standpoint,
Yep.
exercise, strength, just all of it. A knowledge standpoint, we are really working to give you the tools to build a very solid foundation. So, not are we going to come in here and strip away all your food groups and say you can only have this and you can only eat during these hours. From where we stand in a pot standpoint, it just doesn't fit this lifestyle change that we're helping you create. I've gotten this comment, and it's out there in the research that a lot of people that were diagnosed with POTS do have a history of an eating disorder of some sort.
Mhm.
And I know that's a concern to people. Like, I've worked very hard in recovery and to not focus on food. Is that something we have to or don't have to? No. We're there to support you. However, Britt can answer all the questions you want. Or if you don't ever want to log anything, that's okay too. We're
Yep.
just here to support you on that journey, whatever that looks like best for you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we really want these tools to help you so you can listen to your body. That's
Mhm.
like the ultimate goal, right? So if you develop these habits, right, by a simple habit, waking up, drinking water, that's a
Mhm.
habit that if you repeat it long enough, it's going to
Mhm.
just become routine and you're not even going to have
Right.
to think about it. It's the
No.
same thing with meal timing, right? Even if you've never had a history of struggles with your food, right?
Mhm.
It would be learning how to have these routines and then they just become part of your life and you're not thinking about it
Mhm.
as like, oh, I have to set a clock and I have to eat
Mhm.
at 10:30 because I ate
They're just
breakfast. Yeah.
healthy lifestyle changes that are now just automated. You just do
Yep.
them.
And I know that some folks that had a very active life before they got their diagnosis, and this is really hard for them that they were athletes or they were working
Mhm.
out several days a week, and now their body's like looking different, feeling different, because like you said, it's not a bikini workout that we're doing here. And so it's really retraining yourself, giving yourself grace, as you always say,
Mhm.
to get yourself back to the space that you were, that you could be going back out and doing those activities that you enjoy.
Right, because it's never say never. I was just emailing with someone this morning and it was exactly that. And she's like, but will I get back to the things like running and weightlifting and tread? For sure.
Yep.
For sure. I feel like I'm pretty confident in saying we can help get you there. Just give us time and give yourself grace to get you there. But we just want to, I want you to know that there's hope that you can get back to those
Yeah.
places. But you have to incorporate all the healthy changes with nutrition and meal timing and hydration and
Yep.
following exercises. If we can stick to that regimen, honestly, it's amazing to see where your life can go in a year.
Oh, I mean, and you've heard from the people on our
Mm.
on the show that have talked
Mhm.
about how someone's back to bar classes and like are going
Yes.
back to work full time, lifting patients. Like
Yes.
it happens, but it does take time.
I should say this because it's an own personal achievement. I did run this week on the treadmill.
Ah,
I didn't have a lot of time and I knew I had to get in that heart rate zone. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I say on the podcast all the time, you only find me
being
running only if I'm
chased.
being chased by a bear, but I did it and I felt great. So, see, there is hope. I ran, there is hope.
Yeah, and like you said, the POTS Life program is built to allow you to track these habits so that you can get better at it if you want to. You could
Hmm.
track your water, you could track your sodium, track your nutrition. All of those are options that if you join the program, you get to use if you would like to.
Plus, you get that great chat feature that you get access to Britt and I and the team, and we're there to work with you and answer all questions. And we are happy to help. It's not automated, it's real life responses,
No.
and we can adjust for where you are and, dietary restrictions, anything like that, we're able to adjust for.
Yeah. So we hope if nothing else, you took away from this episode that small, frequent meals is the way to go.
Yes. Eat like a toddler.
Eat like a toddler, as my husband would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for tuning in today. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and visit us on thepotslife.com.
Yes, we are excited to have you tune in with us each episode, and we will see you next time. Bye.